with the Holzer Edgebander, the first thing you're going to do when you come to the machine is verify the air pressure is on. To turn it on, it's simply turning the knob. Depress, spin. You'll see that the air pressure rises. You now have air. Turn the main power on right here. Make sure that you turn the computer off before turning off the machine, which means clearing the programs, just like a regular computer at your house. So before you turn this off, we'll discuss what you do at the screen. But to fire it up, just simply turn the thumb still. The machine will then power up, and then it'll go through and reboot the system. The process probably takes about 2 to 3 minutes. At a certain point in time, after it reboots, it will ask a simple question, yes or no to answer, and that is previous program. If you do not know what the previous program was that was loaded, and that is exactly what it's saying, whatever the last one loaded before it was turned off is the one that's going to reload if you say yes. So unless you're aware of that, hit no. It will then put the screen into the home position. You can then go to the categories of your programs and pick the appropriate program. Again, yes will load the last program loaded. You also only get this question upon startup and reboot. All right, at this point in time, for the operator's sake, depending on how you see the screen, they do allow you adjustment on the contrast and the brightness. Most of the time, it has already been adjusted and is adequate for most vision purposes. Other than that, F1 and F2. Now, each one of the buttons on the screen are described as function buttons, just like a computer. They're not labeled, but basically when we say F1, it's the first one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you need to get to 7 to 12, you have to hit the shift button. This button is the shift. So when it's depressed, you will get the shift emblem in the upper right-hand screen. At that time, you will do whatever you need to do. For instance, F11 would be then F1 with the shift. F12 would be F6 with the shift. There's different screens that require different functions, so please be aware of what your function bars are denoting. Those will change as you go through the screens. Right now I'm going to hit no. This is a touch screen system. So what you're going to be doing when you play with this, don't overpress the screen. You should be able just to touch the screen in the location that you need to apply without pushing under heavy pressure. This is your basic screen. Whenever you see the clock and the Holzer emblem, also the temperature and pertinent information of the program that you have loaded. Your program will be listed right here. This is just a timing section of that program while you're using. Other than that, above it, it always monitors where your pressure rollers are so you can maintain and verify that your settings are right for the thickness that you're putting on. It also shows the height of the beam, which is over here. That's the thickness of the panel that's going through it. And then above that will show the speed of the track, at which speed the machine process is applying to the panel. Your main nozzle and nozzle temps are to be observed. They're mostly automatic on this system. Red means you're not anywhere near where you need to be. As it heats up, you'll see the areas that are red will then turn to green. Before both are up to temp though, they'll turn to a shade of white when your main, which reached temps first, has reached temp. It won't go green until the nozzle reaches that point. So both of these have to be at temp before it turns green. Now your set temperature is 200. The green will occur between 189, 190, and 200, which is fine. Now, you'll notice underneath, these are all the stations that are going to be applied during that program load. So you'll see the lights flash above the station diagrams thus. Okay, this is your main screen. Folders moving right. That's above your function keys. So your first folder here is your program section. You'll touch it. These are all the programs we have loaded. What you're going to want to do is choose the program you wish to run. For this, let's choose number 4, which is a standard tape application. You will hit number 4. This button is enter. You must enter anytime your fingers are over here manipulating a program or a specification of adjustment, as the digital readout will show. So if you're over here, you have to hit enter. You'll then see that it highlighted the program that I wanted. I will then go down to the little folder with the arrow going in. Not this one, but this one, which is F4. That is load. Whatever you have highlighted, it will then load. I will then depress. You will see that the machine acknowledged the program that I loaded. So it says program loaded. Now you're getting your error. This line on all the screens are your error. Yellow is not something to lose your lunch over. Yellow is a temporary error, meaning that it will prevent you from running, but you have to wait for that to be fixed. Now in this case, I can't move the beam because it has to be hot, thus yellow. Now you'll notice the red button is hit. While I'm waiting for it to heat up, I'm gonna depress the green button once. What that does is enable the system. It doesn't start it, it just enables it. Now as soon as our temperature reaches temp, this will start flashing green. When it flashes green, that means you're ready to activate the system and make everything run. But you need to make sure your tape is in place. You need to make sure you have the proper settings for the application that you're requiring, meaning the size of the panel matches the perimeters. Now, you'll also see, like I said, any of the stations that are in that program are lit and blinking. The ones that aren't will not activate. Excuse my pause, I was looking at the condition of what was blinking for this. Now, there are certain settings physically that have to be changed on an Edgebander with different programs. The pressure of the guillotine and the pressure of the side rollers. When you load a program, if you don't already know the perimeters of these items, you need to go to F3 or the one with ABC. These are pertinent information and setting points for you to perform before you run. For instance, the guillotine pressure, the pressure for the side rollers, and where you make your fine-tune adjustments. Anything pertinent will be in this area. To return, just F5. Now, once you're running, you have everything in place. You should always be at home. Home is the house, so that you can monitor. Now you'll see we're at temp and it's white. As soon as the other one reaches temp, they will go green. Now this is just your cursor movement. This is for highlighting or moving a cursor in certain areas. Other than that, the main thing for this is just your shift button. This is the clear button. Clear is required to eliminate any errors. You must first fix the error. If you do not fix the error, it will not clear. And it's just a matter of depressing the orange button. Now, the one down next to it is the tab button. When you're in certain areas and you need to jump from different categories for adjustment, the tab button is the one you're going to use. And then, of course, enter. Now, when you're writing, when you need any letters, you'll see just numbers are up here for entering countdown points. You'll see this button right here. All it does is give you a keyboard. This is where you're enabled to write, like for instance in the text of a program, this is how you write the information. To go back, just to press it again and the stations will come back. Okay, you'll now see that it's green. That means we're up to temp. Once your material and things like that are in place, you then can hit go. Sorry. Now you'll see the machines are moving to position. The green error just means that it's a movement of an axis. It's okay. Things that you need to worry about would be the red errors. Now, once all your errors, everything's in place, you'll notice everything's green, and you'll also have a white button now lit. Not a button, but a light. That signifies that the gate is up and you're ready to feed apart. If the gate doesn't go up, you will have an error up here telling you something is wrong. You need to address it. Other than that, this is the running position you'll be operating at. Now, depending on an adjustment in a station, whenever you need something adjusted, you have to go to that station. Once you depress the diagram, it will come into play. You'll see your F buttons have changed. All these functions should have been taught to you. This is a training situation, and you will learn all these areas as you operate the machine. But you cannot do anything to a station unless you bring it up. Once you do what you need to do, I recommend you always go home so that you're monitoring and operating from this screen. To shut it down, simply press the red button. At that time, you're going to get it. It'll go into a situation of pause while it's checking. You'll then hear an air discharge. Do not attempt to do anything on the screen until you hear that air discharge. That means this has gone into a position so that you can then again reset and go. Again, the blinking light just means everything's ready. Now, for instance, let's say that you had an overload or an error occur. I'm going to hit the safety on the screen. These are your safety switches, so if anything is going on and you need to stop the system, all you've got to do is tap that red button. You'll now see we went to red. We have a significant red error line. You'll see it says emergency control panel. Now you'll still get this situation if an overload blows or if something happens where something shouldn't be where it should be, so you don't crash the machine. You must fix the error before you hit clear. If you don't, it'll come back. This is as simple as turning the knob, hitting clear. Hit your control button. If you're in the green flash mode, you know everything is ready to start. I will then again re-hit the green button. You'll see things will fire up. We now have cleared error, and you have the go button. Now, again, you'll learn more detailed information on all these different stations. This is a basic film just to show you how to at least get it started and the parts through it. I highly recommend that you pay attention to the operator. Don't venture anywhere on your own. Now, when I was talking earlier about shutting down, like a computer, you have to turn the systems off. How you do that is with F6. Now, if you remember, I said anytime there's an orange or a yellow shift emblem in front of that button, it means this has to be there. So to turn everything off, I'm going to hit shift. You'll see we got our shift button up here. Now I'm going to hit F5. You'll see it clears and shuts all the stations down. Now it is safe to turn the main power off. You also want to turn the air off in case a line blows during the night or when the system's not running, so that it's isolated. You don't have to turn the air off if you don't want to. It's just more of a safety item. What else? Oh, now I'm going to turn it back on and we're going to discuss programming. Now I'm going to hit yes this time because it is then going to load program number 4. That's the program we were at before. I'm then going to kind of simulate me changing some perimeters, because we're going to discuss how to save perimeters that you fine-tune. When do you do this? If you find yourself going into a screen every time you load a program to change a dimension to make it work, that is a perfect candidate to save it in that program, so that when you load it, you're not going in and wasting time constantly putting in the same dimension. Excuse me. Now, if you're just tweaking a program to get a job through, you don't necessarily have to save it. But if you are changing perimeters constantly to the same, save it on that line. Now, it might be possible that you need that same perimeter in all the programs. And we have what we call a global memory. Now I'm going to hit yes. You'll see our stations are flashing, and it is already going to reheat at this point. You'll see we don't have any errors other than wait for temp. Now, if you've made changes, for instance, on the glue, if you've changed temperatures, or in your magazine, if you have changed any perimeters, this is where I was talking that you're going in changing all the time. You need to save it. Once you have gone through and made those changes, you need to return to home, go to your program section. Now, you'll see the orange shift light next to F5, which is the memory card. That's denoting save. So, at this point, I've made the changes, and I want to save them on that program alone. All you're going to do is hit Shift, F5 Save, and it will acknowledge that you saved up top, so you know you did it. Now, hypothetically, let's say that I want to save something globally. What this does is save time from loading each individual program, tweaking it, and saving it. You can change the perimeter in every line on the folder. So, for instance, I go to glue, you make your changes. You start at the top area, and you're going to hit F12, Shift, F6. Oh, excuse me. Okay, we're here at the glue temp. Remember, tab changes the position. We're at the top. I'm now going to hit Shift F12. Now, this is, you'll see, these are all your programs. So you're going to have the choice to select them all. If you don't want them all, you want an individual program, you can reselect. And then by arrowing down, hitting the check mark, I can go through and globally save it in individual programs. But if I want them in them all, you have to hit all select. If you reselect all, let's say I just checked that one and I don't want it, then reselect gets rid of it. If you're doing all, again, that's F3 and 4. Once you get done with selecting which ones you want, if you see F6, shift F6. It will then save in whichever ones are selected. All you've got to do is hit return. Now you've got to go to this perimeter now, because whenever you change the glue temp, they're matched. So you tab down, hit F12 again. Now, unless you turn off the machine or remanipulate that selection, for instance, if I had select all, it will still be select all until you change it or turn the machine off. So make sure you pay attention to what areas are being saved, or you can save over something that you didn't want to. So you have your global save, and then you also have the individual line save. Now, most of the time, if you create a program, you're going to create it from an existing one. Find one that's as close to what you want, load it. Go in and turn on and off what you want, tweak it the way you want, and then what you'll do is you'll go find yourself an empty line number. There's plenty of empty spaces. You'll pick the number, once you pick the number, tab to highlight the description, bring up your keyboard, write the description that you want this to be, or modify where you brought it from to match what you want it to be. Once you've done that, you're going to hit Shift F5 Save. You will then create that program on that line. For instance, I'm going to leave that the way it is. I'm going to hit Shift up. Now, when you save something on the touch screens, you don't have to worry about going, oh no. It's going to ask you if you wanted to save that. In this position, no, I want to check something first. And that was that I lost my line here when I went. So if you remember, I was choosing a line. We're already loaded. If you guys remember, I had loaded number 4 originally in the program. So let's put 4 back. Hit load, which is this, acknowledge. So I'm going to create the new program, but I chose to put it on number 48. I'm going to use that same language though. Let's pretend I tweaked it. Now if I hit Shift Save, hit yes, you'll see now I duplicated that program on that line. That has everything in it that the other. Now I can load it, because it said program stored. Now it's loaded. Now you'll have your text. Everything will be the same, or that'll be your new program. Now I need to eliminate what I just had. You get rid of a program by loading the one you want to get rid of. Return home. Turn the stations off. That'd be Shift F5. Go back. Now tab down. Now you want to erase that. Now it's basically gone. So when I hit Shift Save, it's basically saving nothing. Oops. What'd Gene do wrong? forgot to hit enter. Remember, you have to hit enter whenever you do a function. So I didn't hit enter. Now it's 0, so I'm going to save it. Yes, and I might not have hit yes. Okay, now you'll see line 48 is empty. Even if I were to load it, nothing's going to happen because we saved nothing. Now, I didn't see them still blinking. If you remember right, when I went back through, I didn't go in and shut it off. Remember, you want to go shift on the main screen, shift F5. Now, when I went in to repeat, we'll just again save nothing. You'll see everything, and let me hit that again because it didn't show up. Yes. Okay, now I'm going to reload. You'll see nothing is there now, even though it says we're loaded. Now I can go to R4 again, and you'll see now it moved back to that position. Uh-oh, sorry. That's real easy to move. And that is how you save a program either on the line or globally.